Hi, Ponders End Part 2. It's quite interesting to see here. The more you look around, the more that you see the designers and the engineers that knew what they were doing actually catered for this. You know what I mean? They catered for that. What does that say? Yeah? Look at this. There's 22 stories there, 22 there, over 100, less, I don't know, my maths are crap. But anyway, keep clear at all times. I don't have time to work that out, yeah? Keep clear at all times. Access to fire hydrant, right? To the dry riser there, yeah? It was planned. All of this has been planned. These buildings are not unsafe. The people who built them these buildings are probably safer than the ones that are being built today with wooden and shitty, crappy fabrics. These are, even though they may or may not have asbestos in it, as long as it's undisturbed, that's all right, yeah? But the main thing is, right, while the weeds grow around here, and I'm going to continue to nail this on, as I've told you already, on and on and on I'm going to go about this, on and on and on and on and on. Whether that was originally closed and should be a fire exit for the fire brigade, right? But over the years, you can see strictly no parking, access to fire hydrant. Okay, they can park there, but it was all in the plans. All of the buildings were done on the plans because the fire hydrant was next to the dry riser over there. Yeah, this is utterly the most fundamental thing. Yeah, if your fire alarms don't work, if your fire extinguishers don't work, the most important thing is your dry riser with the fire hydrant. Now, to be honest with you, there needs to be new powers brought in here now over this, because, like, if to be honest with you, when the London Fire Brigade or wherever fire brigade come to a place like this, if there are cars on the fire hydrant, they need to do a quick call. There needs to be somebody on site. This needs to be illegal, absolutely illegal to park here, right? And the car will be removed and crushed immediately. You really need to ramp up this, yeah? And then over here, as I said already, you need to have CCTV looking at that inside and outside, yeah? Permanently, that needs to be. And the lock, God knows, right? Whatever the fire brigade have got, the current locks, all of these need to be standardised now. The alarm needs to be standardised urgently all around the UK. Stella Creasy, I'm urging you now, even though I'm out of borough, you need to take responsibility of this, because I've sent you an email and I've been talking to you about that, right? This is very, very urgent. You can see the temperatures are getting very, very heated there, and that's going to continue. Trust this government, to be honest with you, is falling to bits, and I'm doing the best I can. But I'm still carrying on, despite the fact that people were burning to death while I was making that first video, before I even had the plans for Grenfell, yeah? And I'm still doing it. This all needs to be standardised. The dry riser inlet is the best. Forget about your cladding. That would have worked. If that worked, the cladding would have been okay. That cladding would have been at least 20 minutes safe. If they'd have got that to work, that could have been okay. Even though that's going to be cladded, it's not cladded if it's got sprinklers. If it doesn't have sprinklers, I don't actually care. I really don't care. Even if your fire exit is blocked with boxes, yeah. Even if your batteries failed, there's a multiple sins in Grenfell. We know that. There's all sorts of stuff, yeah. But the thing is, even if your fire exits were blocked, yeah. Even if your fire alarms didn't go off, right, and even if the batteries in your emergency lighting didn't work, that is the key. That is the key. That is your life draft, and things are going to change now. The law is going to change on this, hopefully before Lord whatever his name is going to spend millions and then recommending, different cladding and all this changes to these sound, well thought out buildings, believe it or not, as long as they adhered to. Right, so I'm trying to get in there early now. I do feel strongly of this because I can see the smoke 12 miles away from that fire, and temperatures are rising very high, running very high down there. But you can see that you know, before we have millions of pounds, millions, this would go on for years. I estimate £2 billion now on that. And before Lord Fauntleroy, who doesn't have a clue about this sort of stuff, gets involved and gets all these other professionals and all that, the key thing is there. The key thing is there, right? The key thing is there.